when we started, everybody had a pottery kit, or we have tools here. Depending on the tools, depending on the kit, you need a bucket for water. You're gonna need a sponge. You're gonna need a pin tool or needle tool, not a shank. Your trimming tools, 2 sizes, and they come in different shapes, different brands. Small loop tool, small trimming tool, large loop trimming tool. Your various ribs. Ribs, they're called ribs because they were actually made out of bone. So ribs, it's stuck for centuries. Metal rib, okay. Sometimes they're plastic, made of different kinds of plastic, different flexibilities. This is really stiff, different shape. Sometimes they're made out of wood. That would be a wooden rib. And I got these other extra ones, but those are your basic. Oh, and a wooden knife. Here we go. Here's one. It's a wooden knife. Okay. And then Jessica's wire cutter. You're gonna need a wire cutter to cut your stuff off with. That's it. Sometimes these fray. I'm gonna open this. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Gosh.
You want me to?
It's childproof.
Do you want me to remove it?
Wait. Did I get it? Oh yeah, there we go.
If your wire cutter looks like this, please give it to me so I can dispose of it.
Yeah, if it's frayed, sometimes they fray. Okay, so sometimes there's a little kink in it, and then it starts tearing. You don't want to do this when it's frayed. It's gonna hurt. Really bad. She says
I've
yes,
done it before.
because we all do it. So just just look at it, and we all have a tendency to do this all the time because we want to scrape off all that extra clay. So just make sure it's not frayed. All right. Do you want this rolled back up?
No.
No? Okay. Oops.
It's okay.
Towel. You're gonna need a towel. Either a big one, whatever, scrappy towel, nice hand towel, not nice, but just a hand towel so you can clean your hands afterward to lift pots. We're gonna try not to use all our paper towels and kill more trees. Water. I'm staring at the water. I've heard some folks like the square thing. Some folks say you have to use cold water. Some folks say don't use hot water. It doesn't matter. It's just water. Okay? Use the water that's comfortable. If it's cold outside, use warm water because then your hands are going to freeze. All right? Let's talk about the wheel itself. Wheel head. Legs, obviously. Foot pedal. There is a foot pedal. Right? That you control with your foot. I'll show you how to turn that on a little bit. Platform. Splash pans. These guys are your friends. These guys will stop you from getting dirty. They all work basically the same. They slide under the wheel head and clamp together. Okay? They don't sit on top of the wheel head. When it spins, you'll hear it spin. It's like the worst sound in the world. So just make sure that they clamp together, all right? On the side of the wheel, on all of these, there is a toggle switch, either on or off, okay? Before you turn the wheel on, make sure the pedal is in the down position. So what I'm doing is I'm pressing with the back of my heel down to the floor, all right? I do not want to have the pedal pressed with my toes facing forward. I want to have my heel pressed down all the way to the bottom. Because if I turn on this wheel and the foot pedal is activated or engaged to that, it's going to make the motor spin, and the wheel head's going to spin really, really fast. Anything that goes on top of that wheel head and you turn it on and that foot pedal's engaged, it's going to spin across the room. All right? I have seen many people take their tools and a bucket full of water and put it on top and then turn on the wheel and it goes everywhere. All right? Or they take their work and put it on top of the wheel head and they don't check the pedal and then they turn it on and the work goes everywhere. All right? So I'm letting you know now. If it happens, sucks for you. All right? So make sure there's nothing on the top of the wheel. All right? On and off switch. On these white ones, there's an on and off switch. The light turns green. When you flick it up, it's on. Okay? Right now, I know it's on. Because I know it's on. But you guys don't. So I'm going to push forward with my foot. The wheel's going to start spinning. So now I know it's on. Okay? Push back with my with my heel, it's off. Forward, it's on. Backward, it's off. Okay? It's like an accelerator. Sort of. All right? Any questions so far? There's also a reverse and forward switch. Since we are weird here in the United States, we always go reverse. We always go counterclockwise. All right? That's just the way we are. Well, as your left hand, that's true. But, okay, any questions so far? Go ahead.
If you are so short like
Oh,
me.
good. Thank you for bringing it up. Go ahead. Go ahead.
If you like me like too small, you can pick this one top on here.
Mhm.
Use your hand,
Oh.
and you can get your front.
Yes. So we have bricks. If you're short, like Yuka, I'm not looking at you. No. If you're short, let's okay. Okay. If you're short like Yuka, you can get bricks to put under your feet, so your feet are braced under those bricks, so you have more stability. Also, like she said, you can bring the foot pedal up to the top and use your hands to control it. All right. I've seen some folks put the foot pedal on top of bricks too, so it's higher. So just be aware. All right, we've got those kind of things, so just ask. So let's get started on throwing.
Also, all the wheels are different heights, so
Yes.
there's one that corresponds to your height.
Very much true. So how do I know what is a good height for my wheel, for myself, with the wheel? Basically, if I sit down and my waist is level with the wheel head platform, with the wheel head, it's a good fit. All right. Sometimes you might need a seat that's a little taller. We don't have any of these that rise up and down.
No, sorry.
No, but we can always put bricks underneath as well. All right. So before I start throwing, let's establish how do I throw, what I'm going to throw. I need to figure out what I'm going to throw. All right. So behind Tam, our throwing assignment, since we don't have a drawing or like a whiteboard or a chalkboard, our Saturday throwing assignment, we're going to make 2, 4, 5, 10 cylinders. All right, each one of those is going to have throwing rings, and I'll show you what throwing rings are. Smooth, pushed in, pushed out, and textured. There's going to be 8 bowls with 10 bowls with the same thing, and then there's going to be 8 mugs with pulled handles and hand-built handles. You guys won't know right now, but I will show you all that stuff later. All right, so that'll be our throwing assignments for that. So I need to know what I'm going to make. I'm going to make a cylinder today. So we'll take the ball of clay. Ball of clay that I wedged out. And they're all pre-measured to 1.5 pounds. This wheel head has concentric rings on it. So I don't want to put the ball of clay on the side because that's going to be ridiculous for me to center. I want to have it as close as possible to the center as I can. So I'm going to look down, make sure it looks sort of centered, and I'm just going to give it a slap and then compress it, push down just a little bit. And that ball of clay is stuck. All right? I didn't throw it on there, I didn't make a huge mess. I just anchored it on there. That's all I'm going to do. Okay? So I'm going to turn this on. I already turned it on. So now I need to get as comfortable. It's like being in your car. You want to get as comfortable as possible. I want to get close to this wheel as much as I can. I want to get anchored to the wheel. I want my thighs to hold the splash pan because I want to be part of the wheel. I want to be anchored to this. Have my stool as close as I can to the seat, to the wheel head. Have my water and my tools ready. All right, I know I'm going to make a cylinder. So all I'm going to do is just take my hand and just dunk it in the water, and that's all the water I need. I don't need,
Excuse me, so do you need?
no, I don't need an apron.
Okay.
I don't need to do this. All right? It's tons of water. It's going to go flying everywhere, and you're just going to get more dirty, and there's more stuff to clean up later. So all you need is the water that's going to stick on the surface of the clay. That's it. And you're ready to go. So how do I center? I'm going to show you 3 ways to center. Put my elbows, my elbows on my thighs. Right? All I'm doing is I'm going to lean this in. I've got my arm, my left arm. I'm right-handed. Notice I keep adding water to it. If I don't add water, eventually the friction is going to make my hands hurt. So I'm going to lean in. I can center with one hand if I needed to. I'm cupping the ball of clay, and I'm pushing down with this all my weight anchored to my thigh. Adding water little by little. My thumb is resting on the top because I want it to stay flat. And I want to wait, and I want to keep pushing until I feel all my little wiggles, all these wiggles that are on the clay gone. Okay? Now I can use my right hand, and I'm going to push down. So with one hand I'm pushing towards Sasha, the other hand I'm going to push down on top. And notice how my body changes, right? My whole entire body weight is coming down on this clay. And now I'm centered. All the wiggles that were there before are gone. So now I'm ready to go. One way to center. Pushing down and in. Again, my body's anchored to the wheel. My elbows are on my thighs. I'm using my back and my upper torso to push down and in. My hand is cupped around the ball of clay from keeping it spread out. My other hand is keeping it nice and compressed. If I need to get water, I'm adding water. And I'm waiting for all these wiggles. I'm using all the force from my own body weight to push all the wiggles, all that the movement of the clay in and on itself. So it's just centered. Okay, that's one way to center. So let's throw this off so you can see. So now it's going to wiggle again, right? So now it's wiggly. So now I'm going to use 2 hands. I'm going to use this part of my hand right here, both sides. I'm going to push in and cone it up to bring all this clay together. Again, my elbows are at my thighs. I'm leaning in. As I push this clay up to the top, it's going to make a cone. Okay? I want to do this about two times to push this clay all the way up to the top to itself. Again, my hand's going to go push down. My left hand's going to cup it on the outside. You can see it stopped wiggling. I'm going to do it again. I usually do this. I do this about 3 or 4 times.
What's your preferred method?
To center?
Yeah.
This.
Okay. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I think it's easier. I learned the push in and push and push down like when I was in high school.
Is that what this is?
No, this is the coning.
Okay.
So, but
I should push down with you.
yeah, this is coning. I think it's easier. I don't know.
Okay. 'Cause that's how I learned it.
Yeah.
In school.
So again,
All these nice high schools that have wheels.
Right?
I went to Lake Forest High School. That's why I think. So let's do this again. I'm going to push, and as the clay rises, I'm going to push it up, both sides, keep it into a cone. It is really easy. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't discourage them. They must
So
have
again,
hope first.
push it down. And notice when my elbow, my right arm, it's in the air, right? But then it comes down to rest on my thigh. So as I push this down, you know, everything comes back together to this home, being home. Okay? So that's 2 ways of centering. Another way to center, if you're a little weak, take both of my fingers, take both of my hands, I'm gonna cup them. I'm gonna have my thumbs overlap with each other. And all I'm gonna do is gonna lean back just a little bit. I'm gonna pull this clay toward me. And I'm using my lower back and my body weight to push this ball of clay toward me. To stop it from wiggling. Is it the music from outside? Jeez. So, 3 ways to center. Any questions so far? All right. If there's a better way, if there's a 4th way, figure it out. Get it centered however you can. I'm serious, because there's not only one way to do this. Okay. All right. So this is just centering. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So once I have my ball of clay centered, what do I need to do? I need to put a hole in it. A lot of different ways to put a hole in it. Some people just like using their finger, poking it straight down, they make a hole. Some people use their thumbs, 1 thumb, 2 thumbs, whatever, however many thumbs they have. Others just like, just pick a finger and go. I use my middle finger. Again, back to home. Elbows on my thighs. And I just use my middle finger to go down. And I don't necessarily go straight down, I go at an angle. So I'm creating this V shape. How far do I need to go down? Well, that's practice. After so many times of doing this, you realize, okay, I can go this far down. This is what your pin tool is for. I can take my pin tool, poke, straight through, slide my finger down to the bottom of what's going to be the bottom of my pot, pull it out, and I've got about a 1/4 inch. That's where I want to be. Okay? I want to be at about a 1/4 inch thickness. If I'm not there, then I can just push down a little bit more. If I'm too much, you're sort of out of luck. You can't add clay to it. You just go with what you got. Now that I've established my bottom, what are we making? Cylinder. Okay, cool. So I need to roll this. I need to make this wider. Cylinder, about 3 inches in diameter. So I'm going to take the same finger that I made the hole with, and I'm just going to pull it straight across. If I were to think of this as a clock face, the wheel head, it's the clock face. I usually go to about 4. Like I'm going to take my finger and pull. Actually, it's 5 o'clock. Pull this out. And I'm keeping my finger nice and straight, just to increase the diameter of this cylinder. I don't necessarily want to go up and down like this because it's going to create ridges. I just want to have a nice smooth bottom. Since we're going to be called what's pulling, compression, the walls of the clay, the walls of the pot, I need to compress the bottom. So I'm going to take my finger, start from the inside out, go from the middle to the outside, back and forth. I'm just adding a little bit of pressure to the base because I want the bottom to be compressed. So when I add this pressure, the clay wall looks like this at the bottom. When I compress it, it's going to be nice and tight. So when you don't do that, you get cracks at the bottom because there's difference in compression in the clay itself. The clay wall is compressed and the foot is not compressed. The base of it's not going to be compressed, so you're going to get a crack.
So would you start with more than a 1/4 inch at the bottom if that's your target? Because when you compress it, you lose a little bit.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
That's actually a good thing. You can do it that way if you want to practice. and you can trim it away later.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Right.
Yeah, but the ideal is like just not trying to get just to be a 1/4 inch, you know.
Right.
Everything wants to be, you want everything to be uniform in
Gotcha.
thickness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Does
yeah.
that answer?
No, it's just that, like, yeah, I'm just thinking to myself, I don't want to lose the bottom.
Right.
altogether, and,
Yeah. But that's why I keep it at a 1/4 inch, because then
Yeah.
when you use your wire cutter, you keep
You get plenty of.
you get plenty of space. Yeah.
Plenty of space.
Yeah.
okay,
And that's just for cylinders. Bowls is a different story.
Gotcha.
You know. So my bottom's compressed. So now I have this donut shape. I have this thing that I need to get up into the air. So we're gonna pull. All I'm gonna do is gonna compress the walls of the clay. There are different ways to pull, just like there's different ways of centering. Some people like pulling with their fingertips. Some people like pulling with their knuckles, either palm and fingertip and or knuckle, or some people actually like pulling with one hand as well. You sort of have to figure out what's comfortable for you, and try them all, right, Yuka? Right?
I like use spoon.
Yeah, some people, oh yeah, thanks. Some people like using a sponge because some people like don't like the grittiness that's on the clay getting on their hands because it hurts. So they use a sponge as like a mediator between their hands and the clay wall. What do you use?
My
Your-
fingers and my knuckles.
Your finger and your knuckles, yeah.
Because I've got 3.
Okay. So a little bit of water, and this is where I want to slow down. I haven't talked about wheel speed at all very much, but this is where you want to be completely in control. If you go really fast, this clay is going to go everywhere. Your pot's going to go everywhere. So you want to be in control. All right. So probably about a moderate speed. I don't know, whatever. I wish we had dials on these so we'd know how fast this was going.
Medium slow.
Sure. Medium slow? Okay, medium rare? Sure, why not? So, when I compress the wall of clay, I use my knuckle on the inside and my fingertip on the inside, my knuckle on the outside.
Knuckle outside, finger inside.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Alright.
But it's not the right way, you know?
Well, just,
Whatever works.
I don't know if I'd try that.
Yeah, so I've got this thing, this bevel here. I'm going to use this to my advantage. I'm going to create another one on the inside with my fingertip. And I'm just creating a little bit of a shadow. So now I've got 2 bevels, one on the inside and one on the outside. The one on the outside is lower than the one on the inside. Okay? Why? Because I have that extra thickness of clay, which is the base of my foot. So my hands are going to be staggered, right? They're not going to be equal with each other. My inside hand's going to be raised up a little bit more than my outside hand. So all I'm going to do, again, going back to home, add some water, and I'm going to start adding a little bit of pressure. And as I add the pressure, I bring this ball of clay up. And I can control the wheel speed. If I'm going too fast, I can slow it down. As I get to the top, I want to ease off the pressure and nice subtle movements. Take my fingers and compress this rim. I'm just adding a little bit of pressure and pinching and taking my finger and knocking this back on the square or center. All right? That's one pull. I've heard people tell me, I've had professors, teachers tell me you should throw a cylinder in 3 pulls. It doesn't matter. Just get it up. Nobody laughed. It's good. So again, I'm going to make a. I know it's too early.
It was a silent, cynical
Yeah,
chuckle.
I'm
like,
sure
yeah,
it
okay,
was.
sure.
So again, I'm going to make this bevel. I'm just taking my finger, adding a little bit of pressure. You see the bevel that I made? There's going to be one on the inside too. So now again, I've established my pulling points. Add some water. Compress. And slow down the wheel speed just a little bit. As I get to the top, I'm easing off the pressure. subtle movements. Put this back on center. All right, so that's 2 pulls.
Joe, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go
about
ahead.
The speed, the speed that you're pulling up and the speed that it's spinning.
Yeah, good. You
Are you-
noticed, huh?
Yeah, are you like making it so that with each rotation you're like going up by like a
Yes.
finger's width?
Uh-huh.
So you're like
Yes.
touching every part
Right.
the same amount.
Yeah. It should be one rotation for one pull for one rotation. Does that make sense? So every time it goes around, my hand goes up. Every time it goes around, my hand goes up. Like they're in unison with each other. I mean, you can do that slower. Yeah, but that's how I pull. I like pulling at the same speed as the wheel itself. So if I were to slow this wheel down, so now I'm gonna pull with the same wheel speed. Notice how slow my hands are going. I'm not worried about that yet. I know it's freaking people out.
I think it's cool. Yeah, I would have freaked out. I'm glad you said so.
As long as you don't freak out, it won't collapse.
Right. Rib. So now I've got these torques. So why does this happen? Why do you think this happens? Clay's really thin. What else? Make sure there's no clay.
Uneven pressure.
Uneven pressure. Okay.
Did you do that intentionally?
No.
Oh, okay.
It happens sometimes. You just get it. Why do you think it happens, Sam?
You're going a little bit too, like you change your speed of pulling at like just sudden kind of like if you're going slow, and then you go either too fast or too slow in one area, the clay pulls and then it just kind of twists
Yeah,
itself.
that's correct. So sometimes you get a torque, right? So how can I work this out? Straight edge rib, right? You can either they come in different shapes, wood or plastic. I want the most rigid one possible. Hand's gonna go on the inside. Use a straight edge, flat side. My inside hand is pushing just with a little bit of pressure on the outside, on the inside, pushing out. And my rib is just holding that edge nice and straight.
So you're taking some off, some clay off?
Barely.
Barely. Okay.
Yeah.
He's just compressing the crap out of it.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, nice and straight. So if I need a bigger one, so say if I want a wide, this is much wider, much more surface area, can do the same thing.
So
Start-
how
Go
did
ahead.
you hold the inside of your fingers? Did you just, I mean, the inside, I can't see what's going
Just
on
pushing.
the inside. Just pushing?
I'm pushing out.
How do you get so even on the inside? Because you've only got, do you do all 4 fingers at the same time?
No.
Or just one
Show you.
at a time?
So come over here and look. So my hand's gonna go in, right?
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna use this finger.
Gotcha.
So all I'm gonna do,
Oh, I see. Okay.
you can actually see where my finger, watch, see it right here?
Yeah, yeah.
Right there.
Okay.
So I'm using that pressure point and the flat edge of the rib to compress that wall and get that torque out. Notice everything I'm doing is nice and subtle, right? I'm not doing something stupid like this, right? Because then it's going to throw off my rib. Or if I have my tool and I decide to talk to Jessica, right? Notice the difference of what I did now and how I was working before. Did you guys see that? Yeah, it's like being intimate with the clay, Nice subtle movements. Trying to just barely touch it. I don't know. I don't want to go too crazy with subtlety intimacy. I'm like, wait, that's the wrong choice of stuff. So, I just want to be nice, just nice to it.
Meditative harmony.
I know. You're like, I can't take the.
It's like-
I can't get out of the hole now.
It's like if you're painting, you do a light touch.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wow.
Sure.
Okay.
I know.
I wasn't expecting to come.
Right.
I wasn't expecting relationship advice.
Me either. I just got dumped, so sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There is no relationship advice from me. So we've got this cylinder. So I also need to clean this up from the bottom, because sometimes you just can't get all that extra clay up from the bottom. So I'm going to take my wooden knife, use this bevel on my knife. If you're really good, you have like minimal clay at this base. Flip my knife over and I'm just going to scrape this away. Clean this up a little better. Straighten out this wall. Clay turrets. All right, so okay, we have smooth, right? Smooth texture. There's no texture on it. This is nice and smooth. Throwing rings are the natural rings that I created while I was throwing them. So let's put those back in. So as I pull, the rings I create from my fingers compressing the clay. Throwing rings, okay? Smooth, I can use the rib to get rid of them.
Question.
Yeah,
Why throwing rings?
why throwing rings? Because it's the natural texture of the clay. Because they're cool. It shows process, it shows time. It shows the maker was there, something was there.
It's a spiral.
It's a spiral, there you go.
Yeah.
It's a spiral. I can add texture to it if I wanted to. I can take a tool, whatever it is. My hand's gonna go on the inside supporting this wall because I'm gonna add a little bit of pressure from the outside. I'm gonna add texture
Wow.
Ooh, nice.
to the cylinder.
So cool.
I never. Oh, wow. It's like a waveform.
Again.
Oscilloscope.
So now I've got texture. Okay?
Wow, did you make that?
All right, so now this is texture. If I wanted to push this in, I could take my tool, right?
Oh my god.
Again, I'm putting this back in the round. So now I have like an ovalish shape, and now I have a round shape on the top, so I can play with people's perception of how they view this. That's pushed in, okay? This is gonna be really weird, but I can also push it out. I can't stick my finger in there, but I could take my tool, push it out to change the volume a little bit. So now I've got round, oval, textured, pushed out, pushed in. Each one of these is going to be an individual cylinder. Does that make sense? Okay. So there's going to be, what is it, 6 of them, I think? 8? Forgot what it is. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right? And then there's only 8 of the other ones. So, all right, so next week, I won't be here to show you guys how to make a bowl, but I might ask Tam to make a bowl for me so she could demo how to.
If you
make a
do the
bowl.
demo today, I can replay your demo, so I don't get yelled at.
Nice. I will make a bowl later this afternoon for you guys, okay? Are there any questions? Wait, I'm not done yet, because we gotta do the most important part. Okay? So, you got your piece, right? Oh, we're gonna throw those away.
Oh.
No, I like
Hey,
those.
what?
So, I don't now believe in those things.
They believe in you.
So, clean hands, right? We're gonna take a wire cutter. I mean, it's like so low. So, okay, I know I can't even talk anymore. Wire cutter, wrap it around your fingers, not super tight. Do not do this. till your fingers bleed. Don't do that. Just nice and tight, not super tight. Thumbs down. Cut this toward you, pull it toward you. All you need is one cut. You don't need to put a sponge and water and keep going, all that stuff. You don't need all that stuff. Dry towel, dry hands. Get all the slurry that's off the clay all off, okay? Board, flat, or it can be sideways. All I'm gonna do is pick this up, straight up. Straight up. It's not even distorted. Put it on the side.
Straight up.
There it is. Okay? Same cylinder right through. All right? Ready to go. Just I'll let it on the side, grab a next ball, and start making another one. Any questions so far? Yes.
How did you make the throwing rings? Because like I've thrown before and I've pulled, but I've never ever created throwing rings. I don't know why.
Do you have like super smooth hands? The ring rings are the natural rings that you get on the outside.
I've never done it.
What?
Yeah.
They're there.
That's
Wow,
clear.
how many times you
Teflon JJ.
Yeah, they're there. I'll have to watch it through.
Teflon JJ.
I've never seen them.
All right, I'll have to watch it through.
But I don't
Cool.
feel like it.
Any questions? Really?
I think a student use this is by
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot him.
Let
Practice
them,
with your hands.
you can
Can we
let
just
them,
learn what
let
is
them
that?
learn new experiences.
Okay.
Practice with your hands.
I cannot use
Even with ball. Oh, I'll show you how to do one with the ball.
Oh God, I hate doing it with the bowl. I usually have to
Cool.
reround it before I trim it.
If I see those, I will throw them away and I will get fired, I know, but it's okay.
I can hide them. No one knows what drawer they're in anyway.
Yeah, hide them. Damn.
What are they?
They're called pot lifters.
Such brown nose.
So you just stick them in and lift up your pot?
Yeah.
Basically.
Sounds like there's nothing wrong with that.
They're cheesy.
Sounds good. Cheesy.
They're the
We're
shortcut.
beginners.
I was always taught to.
So in the olden days, from what I was told of by the old ones,
Back when
they
Joe
used
learned.
kick wheels. So they
I
would
love a
flip
kick.
them.
I own a kick wheel. It's
And
like-
the person gave a demo, and then they walked away. You have to throw 100 pots.
yeah, we don't do 100 pots. I didn't even believe in that. So,
So
cool?
So you're not
Any questions?
Are we? Should we start on this like now?
If you want to start on it now, you can. If you have not finished your coil pots, your slab project, get those all done. All your coil pots should be on the table back here. If they're not out drying, I gotta pull mine out today, so it starts drying on its own.
did you want me to put into the barrel so it can slow dry in there?
What?
Your pot.
Mine? No, not yet. It's still super wet.
Okay.
So, yeah, Madeline brought donuts for everybody. So there's donuts.
Thank you, madam.
All right, and Jessica's got candy. All right, cool. Let's get to work.
Alright.
I'm a simple creature.